Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel William H. Rankin had flown combat flight ops in both World War II and the Korean War, but it wasn't enemy fire that came closest to killing him during his military flying career. It was a summer thunderstorm over the east coast of the United States. On July 26, 1959, so that means we're coming up on the 62nd anniversary of this fateful day, Lieutenant Colonel Rankin and his wingman, First Lieutenant Herbert Nolan, were returning from a cross-country that they'd taken to South Weymouth, Massachusetts. They were headed back to their home base at Marine Corps Station Beaufort in South Carolina. They were flying the F-8 Crusader, which was the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps' frontline air-to-air platform, a single-engine fighter that had a gun and Sidewinder missiles and was also used during Vietnam as a bomb truck, as they call it. Had a great air-to-air kill ratio in Vietnam, actually the Navy's highest, of 19-3. And it was a beloved airplane. John Glenn made history in the 50s by flying Project Bullet, where he flew from California to New York, supersonic. Great airplane, but a single-engine airplane, and that comes into play here. As often happens in the summertime on the eastern seaboard, these two airplanes, on their way back from Massachusetts to home base, encounter a line of thunderstorms. So when you encounter a thunderstorm, aviators have two options. Well, actually, they have three options, but there's two smart options. One is go around them. The other one is go over them. You can also go through them if you have to, but that's not your best option. In fact, I've been hit by lightning 3 times during my Tomcat career. And in one case, we got on the ground, and the maintainers showed us where the lightning entered the airplane and exited the airplane. So there was a scorch mark where it hit around the nose, and there was a larger hole where it exited on the tip of the left wing. People always ask me, what did it feel like? Well, you could actually feel the electricity translate across the canopy rail. It sort of shocked you just a little bit. But we didn't lose our instruments and we didn't lose radio comms, etc. But anyway, flying through a thunderstorm is never a good idea. So in this case, this line of thunderstorms that these Crusaders encountered was very wide. They were cruising around 40,000 feet. Colonel Rankin decided to take the section above the thunderstorm, so he climbed to 47,000 feet. And as he did, he heard a grinding noise followed by a loss of power, and he got a fire warning light. The procedure in the F-8 included deploying the auxiliary power, and that meant pulling a handle to get this impeller into the airstream that would power your generators. But as he pulled that handle, it came off in his hand. By this time, he's severely nosed down, lost all control of the airplane. He's about to go supersonic. So he matter-of-factly radios his wingman and says, I'm going to have to eject. So he initiates ejection, and as soon as he hit the surrounding atmosphere at that altitude, his body was put through the ringer. Sudden decompression causes his stomach to swell, his ears, nose, and mouth to bleed. Ejection tears off his left glove, which leaves it exposed to the brutally cold air. Skin immediately freezes, which results in numbness and severe frostbite. But things are about to get worse. In his memoir, The Man Who Rode the Thunder, Rankin describes his free fall like this. I became conscious of my body tumbling, spinning and cartwheeling through space. I spun like a pinwheel, my limbs trying to go in every possible direction at once. I spun on the vertical, diagonal, and horizontal axis. I felt the enormous pulling, stretching effects of G-forces. I love this expression. I was a huge, stiff blob of helplessness. I recognized that my body was literally spread-eagled, and the force was so great I could not move my hands or legs. Several times I tried to bring my arms into my body, but it was like pulling on a stone wall. The effect of G-forces on my arms and legs must have been to multiply their weight many times. So during the free fall, Rankin manages to strap his oxygen mask to his helmet, which was crucial in terms of him surviving this ordeal. So from his training, he figures it's going to take about 3.5 minutes to go from 50,000 feet down to 10,000 feet, where his chute should automatically deploy. He looks at his watch and he sees that 4 minutes has gone by, so he figures his seat has failed. But it hadn't failed. His descent was slowed by the massive updrafts of the adjacent thunderstorm, and it propelled him upwards at more than 100 miles per hour. Lightning flashed all around him in what he described as blue blades several feet thick, and the thunder was so loud he thought he was going to lose his hearing. He was pelted with rain and hail The rain was so thick he thought he was going to drown. So he gets pulled up at 100 miles per hour, and as he gets overhead the cumulus cloud, he gets pulled downward. In fact, so rapidly that his chute collapses. And during the descent, he's getting pummeled by rain and hail. He gets to the bottom, his chute opens, and he gets back into the updraft. Gets yanked back up to the top of the thunderstorm, where he's thrust downward again, where his chute collapses. He does this cycle 4 times. It's a living hell that he fears is never going to end. In his memoir, he describes what was going through his mind at the time. There were times when I felt like I might die of sheer exhaustion because it seemed as if either the storm might never end, or I was going to be swept along with it in this insane journey up the coast for as long as that journey might take. Hours, days. This feeling was most intense when I decided to look at my watch and glimpse the time during a flash of lightning. But when I saw it was 20 minutes past 6, I thought, my God, you should have been on the ground at least 10 minutes ago. You are really trapped. You are really in the pattern of the storm and part of it, a speck of human dust, up, over, and down, up, over, and down. And that's the way it's going to be. But for how long? For how long? Finally, the storm dissipated enough that he wasn't dragged back into it, and he was unceremoniously blown into a field in Ahoskie, North Carolina. So he used his survival training to wander to the nearest road, and after being bypassed by a number of cars that drove by, he was picked up and taken to the local hospital. Colonel Rankin spent about 3 weeks in the hospital recovering from severe decompression shock, welts, bruising, other superficial wounds. He eventually returned to flight status. In 2009, the colonel died of natural causes at the age of 89. So again, of all the sorties he flew in combat, World War II, Korean War, all of his other F-8 flights, this was definitely the most memorable. And he never forgot the day that he rode the Lightning. And now you guys know about it too. So that'll do it for this episode. If you're a first-time viewer, please ring the bell and become a subscriber. Give me the likes, comment. Love the comments, and as you can see, I engage as much as I can. And if you'd like to help us take the channel to the next level, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/WardCarroll. Check the links below for our merchandise, t-shirts, and coffee mugs, and how to get Punk's War, my debut novel. Stay tuned for information on the reissue of the other 2 books in the Punk series. A lot of folks are asking about how they can get the other 2. I'll keep you posted on that. It's coming very soon. And in the meantime, I look forward to talking to you again soon.